Hi everyone, today I'll talking about Sigmund Freud psychoanalytic theory, one of the earliest and most influential ideas about how children develop. Freud believed that our childhood experience have a huge impact on who we become as an adult. According to Freud, our personality develops through five stages: oral, anal, palic, latency, and genital. At each stage, the child focuses on different need or source of pleasure. For example, babies explore world through their mouth during the oral stage, while older children learn control during the anal stage. Freud also said that our minds are made up of three parts: the ID, which is represent our basic desire; the ego, which help us make realistic choice; and the last one is which help us more choice; and the superego, which is our sense of right and wrong. When child needs aren't met properly during a stage, it can cause fixation, meaning certain behavior or habits may carry into adulthood. In short, Freud psychoanalytic theory reminds us that our early experience and emotion shape the foundation of our personality. Understanding our past can help us understand our present behavior.
Good day everyone, I am finally Ihalik. So today we are going to tackle about Jean Piaget theory. So our objective for this topic is to know what is Jean Piaget theory is all about and to identify and describe the key characteristic of each four stages of cognitive development and to analyze how Jean Piaget theory can be applied in educational settings to enhance teaching and learning. So the theory of Jean Piaget is all about how kids develop their thinking skills. Piaget theory suggests that children progress through four different stages of cognitive development. Each stage is characterized by different ways of thinking and understanding the world. So the stages of Jean Piaget's theory are sensory motor, 0 to 2 years old; pre-operational stage, 2 to 7 years old; concrete operational stage, 7 to 11 years old; and the last one is formal operational stage 12 plus years old. So the first stage is sensory motor, 0 to 2 years old. So this is the stage where babies learn about the world through their sense and action. So sense meaning seeing, hearing, touching, tasting, and smelling. So action meaning things like grabbing, sucking, and shaking. Like for example, a baby playing with a toy. Then you cover a toy with a blanket. So if the baby is still in this stage, they'll think the toy is gone. So they won't look for it. But around 8 to 12 months, they develop object permanence. They'll lift the blanket to find the toy because they know it's still there. So the second stage, which is pre-operational stage, 2 to 7 years old. So here in preparational stage, meaning a kids start using symbols like words and drawing to represent things. So they're also very imaginative at this stage. Like for example, if you ask a child, what's your favorite toys? And they say, a car. So they might assume that everyone else's favorite toy is also a car. Or let's for example, you show a child two glasses with the same amount of water. So then you pour the water from one of the glasses into a taller, skinny glass. So the child will think the taller glass has more water, even though it's the same amount. So the third stage, which is concrete operational stage, 7 to 11 years old. So in this stage, kids start thinking more logically but only about concrete things. They understand conservation and can start to organize things into categories. For example, if you show a child in this stage the water glass experiment again, they'll know what that amount of water is the same, even if it's in a different glass. And they can also sort toys by color, shape, and size. So, the last stage is formal operational stage, 12 plus years old. So, the last stage according to Jean Piaget theory is formal operational stage. So, this means adolescents can think abstractly and hypothetically. They can understand complex ideas and solve problems in their head. They can think about possibilities and use logic to solve problems. This stage involves the development of abstract logic, the potential for mature moral reasoning. So in short, Jean Piaget theory believed that children's thinking changes in predictable stages as they grow. So each stage builds on the previous one. Understanding this stage can help us better understand how kids learn and develop. So that's all about Jean Piaget theory. I hope you guys understand. Thank you for listening.
Erik Erikson, Psychosocial Development Theory. Next, let's talk about Erik Erikson, Psychosocial Development Theory. Erik Erikson expanded on Freud's ideas but focused more on how social relationship and life's experience influence our growth. So, Erikson believed that people go through 8 stages of development, from infancy to adulthood, and each stage we face a specific psychosocial conflict. For children and adolescents, some key stages are true versus mistrust, where babies learn whatever they can trust their caregiver. Industry versus inferiority, where school-age children build confidence through learning. Next is identity versus role confusion. During adolescence, when young people discover who they are and what they want to be. Successfully overcoming these challenges help a person develop confidence, independence, and a strong sense of identity. So, Erik Erikson teaches us that growth doesn't stop in childhood. It's it's a lifelong journey. Each stage builds who we are, and positive experience help us become emotionally strong and socially confident individual. So, Levygotsky Sociocultural Development Theory. Finally, let's explore Levygotsky Sociocultural Development Theory. Vygotsky believed that children don't learn in isolation. Instead, learning happens through interaction with others and is deeply influenced by culture and language. So, Vygotsky introduced the concept of zone of proximal development, or ZPD. This is the gap between what a child can do alone and what they can do with help from someone more knowledgeable, like a teacher, parents, or peer. He also talked about scaffolding, which means giving just the right amount of guidance until the child can do the task independently. Through communication, collaboration, and cultural experience, children develop problem solving, reasoning, and understanding of the world around them. So, Vygotsky theory show that learning is social process, which the right guidance and support, children can achieve much more that they could on their own. It reminds us that relationship, language, and culture are key parts of how we grow and learn.
So good day everyone. I am Alexandra Patian Concepcion from BTLED IA 1B. So today, I will be discussing about Lawrence Kohlberg's stages of moral development. The stages of moral development of Lawrence Kohlberg's propose that moral reasoning progresses through 6 stages, organized into 3 levels. First is the pre-conventional, conventional, and the post-conventional. These stages describe how individuals make moral judgments, moving from a focus on self-interest and avoiding punishment to a more complex understanding of social order and universal ethical principles. So first, let's proceed to pre-conventional level. The pre-conventional level is the first and most basic level of Lawrence Kohlberg's stages of moral development, where individuals' moral reasoning is based on external consequences, focusing on self-interest, avoiding punishment, and gaining rewards. This stage, typically observed in young children, involves judging actions by their immediate outcomes rather than abstract moral principles or societal norms. So, stage 1, obedience and punishment orientation. Morality is based on avoiding punishment and obeying authority. Actions are judged as right if they don't result in punishment. Stage 2, individuals and exchange. Focus shifts to self-interest but with an understanding of mutual benefit. Actions are considered right if they serve one's own needs or provide a reward. Then, conventional level. The conventional level of moral development, according to Lawrence Kohlberg's theory, is characterized by an individual's adherence to social norms and rules to gain approval and maintain social order. This level typically emerges during adolescence and adulthood, where morality is based on the standards of valued adults and social groups. Stage 3, good interpersonal relationships. People want to be seen as good and gain approval from others. Intentions and the desire to please others guide moral decisions. Stage 4, under the conventional level. Maintaining the social order. Emphasis is on upholding the law, rules, and the overall social order. An action is right if it maintains stability and respects authority. Then, post-conventional level. The post-conventional level of moral development is the highest stage in Kohlberg's theory, where an individual's moral reasoning moves beyond societal rules to be guided by their own abstract ethical principles and universal values, such as justice, human dignity, and fairness. Decisions are based on internalized personal ethics and a belief in what is right for all people, even if it conflicts with societal laws or norms. Then, stage 5, social contract and individual rights. Individuals recognize that laws are important but can be unjust or arbitrary. Moral behavior is based on abstract reasoning and considerations for individual rights and the common good. Then, stage 6, universal principles. Moral reasoning is guided by self-chosen, ethical principles, and universal justice. Actions are based on abstract, universal principles that are consistent and applied to all people. So, Kohlberg believed that individuals move through these stages sequentially, with each new stage providing a more complex and comprehensive perspective than the last. So here are the examples. First, pre-conventional morality or childhood. Stage 1, obedience and punishment orientation. Focusing on avoiding punishment and obeying rules. So, example, a child eats all their vegetables to avoid being sent to their room without dessert. Then stage 2, individualism and exchange. Actions are based on self-interest and what one can gain from them. Example, a child does their homework to get a good grade or because they believe they'll receive an allowance for it. Then, conventional morality. Older children and adults. Stage 3. Good interpersonal relationships. Decisions are driven by the desire to be seen as a good person and to please others. Example, someone helps a neighbor with a chore because that's what good neighbors do, and they want to maintain a positive relationship. Then, stage 4, maintaining the social order. Emphasis is on upholding laws and societal norms to maintain order and stability. So, example, an employee reports a coworker for violating company policy because they believe it's important to follow the rules for the good of the workplace. Then, post-conventional morality, adolescents and adults. Stage 5, social contract and individual rights. People recognize that laws can be unjust and that there are situations where individual rights take precedence. Example, an individual participates in a peaceful protest because they believe in the right to free speech, even if it means breaking a specific law that infringes on that right. Then stage 6, universal principles. Moral behavior is based on abstract, self-chosen ethical principles that are universal, such as justice or the sanctity of life. So example, an individual prioritizes the right to life over the ownership of property, even if it means breaking the law, because life is considered a fundamental human right. So, in summary, Lawrence Kohlberg theory outlines how individual progress through 6 stages of moral reasoning grouped into 3 levels, which is the pre-conventional, conventional, and the post-conventional. That's all.
So good day, everyone. Today, I'm going to discuss about the Yuri Bronfenbrenner ecological system theory. Yuri Bronfenbrenner's ecological system theory. This theory explains that child growth and development are affected by different layers of environment, from their closest surrounding like family and school to the larger society and culture. Yuri Bronfenbrenner's ecological system theory is a framework for understanding how person's development is influenced by the different types of environmental systems they interact with throughout their life. The first one, microsystem. The second one, mesosystem. The third one, mesosystem. The fourth one, microsystem. And the last one, chronosystem. Okay, the microsystem is the child immediate environment where they have direct contact with people and experience. So, this includes the relationships and interactions the child has every day with their family, teachers, classmates, and friends. The microsystem has the strongest and most direct impact on the child's behavior and learning because it is where the child spends most of their time. So, for example, a student a student learns to be respectful because their teacher always encourages good manners, and their parents also teach them to say please and thank you. Mesosystem. The mesosystem is the connection between the child different microsystem. This system shows how the various parts of child's life work together. For example, the relationship between home and school. When this system communicate and cooperate, it creates a consistent environment that support the child's growth. For example, when a child's parents and teachers regularly communicate about the child progress, the child receives consistent support and encouragement both at home and in school. The ecosystem includes the external environments that the child does not directly participate in but that still affect their life. Even though the child is not directly involved in these settings, the events that happen there can influence their experiences and development. For example, include the parents' workplace, local government, or the media. For example, if a parent loses their job, it may affect the child emotionally or financially, even though um, even though the child is not directly involved in the workplace. Macrosystem. The macrosystem refers to the larger cultural and social environment, includes beliefs, values, traditions, and laws. This system shapes how a child raised and what behaviors are considered acceptable or unacceptable. It reflects the culture and ideology of the society where the child grows up. For example, in Filipino culture, children are taught to show respect to elders by saying po and opo or by performing mano. Chronosystem. The chronosystem refers to the changes and transition that occurs in a child's life over time. So it focuses on how life events such as moving to a new place, the separation of parents, or changes in technology affect a child development affect a child development. It also includes historical or societal changes that happen during the child lifetime. For example, a child who transfers to a new school may struggle to adjust at first, but later learns to make new friends and become more independent. In summary, Yuri Bronfenbrenner's ecological systems theory explains that a child's development is influenced by different layers of environment from their immediate surroundings like family and schools, the connections between them, external factors that indirectly affect them, the culture and values of society, and the life changes or even over time. All these systems work together to shape how a child grows and learns.